My name is Nicholas Ferrando, and I have a couple questions for you guys. How many of you guys have ever heard of the sport rugby? Now, how many of you guys have ever seen rugby? Alright, that's a lot more than I expected. Well, I'm going to be showing the people who have never heard of it or seen it what it is, how you play it, tips to play it, all that good stuff. So, rugby, how does it work? What is it? Well, technologically advanced. Oh my. Alright, well, I'm just going to do this then. Alright, what is rugby? Well, rugby was invented in 1823 by a man named William Webb Ellis. Now, he was playing soccer at Rugby University, and he was tired of kicking the ball, so he picked up the ball, and boom, rugby was created. He was at Rugby University, hence the name rugby. This is my highlight reel of rugby. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, never mind. These are the positions of rugby. I play a number 3, which is the tight head prop. And, well, number 1 is the loose head prop. Number 2 is the hooker. Number 3 is the tight head prop. 4 is the second row. 5 is also a second row. 6 is blind side. 7 is open side. 8 is the number 8. 9 is scrum half. 10 is fly half. 11 is left wing. And 12, inside center, outside center, right wing, and fullback. Now, the fullback in rugby is nothing like the fullback in football, because the fullback in football is big and slow and really hard to tackle, while in rugby he's like tiny and really, really fast. So the basics, some simple rules. Now, rugby, like any sport, has a ton of different rules and regulations, but these are just the basics. The first one is you can't pass forward. You can't punch, you can't kick. That kind of seems obvious, but it happens a lot. Now, you also can't go offside. I'll go into depth to this later, but you can't be behind the ball on certain occasions. You can't talk back to the referee. This also seems obvious, but yeah. You can't hit anyone who's in the air with the ball, and you can't tackle anyone over the shoulders. This would be a high tackle. So running and tackling. When you run the ball, you should always run straight, and you should always pass backwards if you ever need to. Now, it's not a rule that you run straight, but if you run sideways or backwards, everyone on the field and their mother will probably be screaming at you to get off the field. And, well, when you get tackled, you're going to want to do what this kid is doing. He gets down on the floor, and he presents the ball facing it, or putting it towards his team. It's kind of like he's diving into a pool. His hands are going to be over his head, his feet are going to be together. He's going to be trying to make this guy basically as far away from the ball as possible. Now, well, that's called presenting the ball, and that forms into a ruck. And what a ruck is, it is both teams fighting over the player, and they're both fighting for the ball. Now, he just ran with the ball. He's kind of getting squished, but this is his team pushing over him, and these guys are trying to push back over that way. Now, one thing about the ruck is everything basically goes. So you'll get tackled sometimes, and you'll get kicked in the head, and scraped by cleats and all that good stuff. But it's just part of the game. Now, what is the scrum? The scrum is where there's a penalty, usually from passing it forward or hitting the ball forward with your hands or something like that. And, well, this is the refs calling for a scrum. And it's basically a set play where both teams forward line up and they basically clash heads. So, let's see if this video works. How do you scrum? Okay. Well, basically what you do when you scrum is there's going to be 3 people in a line, 3 people on the opposite line, and there's going to be 2 people behind those 3, and 2 right here. So, well, hold on. There's going to be 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 2 in the middle, and then 1 person in the back directing it, more or less. So then what happens is the 3 people in the front, they both all go to their left so that they don't hit heads, and they'll just kind of push backwards and forwards. Now, there was like a couple studies done on the scrum, and when they clash together, like they do, like in the game, there's over 1,000 pounds of force being applied to their like backs and their shoulders, but it's distributed among the entire team, so it's not as dangerous. Now, what if the ball goes out of bounds? Well, that's what they call a line-out. In rugby, they don't call it out of bounds. They call it in touch. So what happens is, one of the team, the scrum half on the team that the ball didn't go out on would have to stand up with the ball out of bounds and throw it in. Now, the 2 teams can line up with however many people they want in a like 2-meter channel, right? So there are many ways to get the ball in this like formation, but one way is you lift your teammate up in the air and they try and grab the ball from out of the air. Now, I am usually in this position lifting him up, and in that position, you always want to make sure that you don't just drop them after they grab the ball, because that can lead to like injuries. Alright. So this video will probably not work. I'm going to try it. Okay. So kickoff. When you're playing the game of rugby and you have just scored, you are receiving the kick. Like basically reverse of what football is. That's because in rugby, kicking the ball or kicking the ball is seen more as an advantage than receiving the ball. So you usually want to have your forwards like 1 through 8 over here, and when you're kicking off, your girls want your forwards matched up with them. Your backs are usually going to be over here, and they'll usually kick into the forwards because they're slower and they can't make it down the field as fast. Okay. Now there's 2 types of rugby. There's 7 and 15. I love 7. 7 is really fun, but I play 15. In 7, you have 7 people on each team, which is why they call it 7, and the halves are only 7 minutes each. For you math geniuses out there, that's 14 minutes game. That means you can play multiple games in one tournament, and you will play like maybe 4 or 5 a day. And it's a lot of fun, and you don't really get tired after the game because it's 14 minutes long. So, but in the scrum, which is like the forwards and all that good stuff, you only have 3 people instead of the entire group that I showed you earlier, and there are only 4 people behind them. But in 15, you have 15 people on each team, hence the name 15. Now the halves are actually 45 minutes long, which means a 90-minute game, but since I'm in high school, they don't expect us to run for 90 minutes, so we usually do like 35 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. The scrum has 8 forwards and a scrum half, which adds up to 9, and 7 backs in the backfield. Now, what this basically means is that there's a lot more force and a lot more danger in the scrum when you're playing 15. In many games of rugby, when they're having the scrum, it'll collapse sometimes, and that is known as one of the most dangerous positions in all of team sports. And what happens is the hooker, which is the guy in the middle, he has to have his hands back so he can hook with his foot. And what happens is he can't catch himself when everyone goes down. So his neck will hit the floor, and usually it'll break his neck. Yeah, and that's why I don't play a hooker. Now, so yeah, and this is the New Zealand haka, and basically it's one of the oldest traditions in rugby, And it's basically what you expect when you play the sport of rugby. It's the big scary dude doing big scary things. It's you might know what I'm talking about by the haka. It's where they basically just line up in a group and they do like comedy, like scary. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Hold on a second.
Okay, see if it works and you're out of time, but I'm curious as to what this video is, though.
Darn it.
Chrome, that's why. So you
Okay.
copy it and then go to Chrome.
Yeah.
Nick, out of curiosity, with the videos that you had embedded into your PowerPoint, did you save them on your flash drive?
I think so, maybe.
No, that's why they didn't work.
What's that doing?
Play it real quick because you're out of time. We got to move on to the next person.
Should I stop the video?